And all that added up to a total running cost for this car is, holy Hey guys, it's Luke here and welcome back to another video, and welcome back my E92 M3 back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking numbers, some very, very scary numbers. This is the file that I have for the car, including all the receipts and everything that has been done to this car in its whole life, actually, not just for my ownership. But this is a car I've now owned for a little over a year and a couple of months, I believe. And its job for me really is just a daily driver, the car that I go to when I need to do a journey. I've done a lot of miles in it, I think 22,000 miles now in a little over a year, as I mentioned, so a lot of expense has gone into it. So this is going to be, well, for me, quite a scary video, and hopefully you quite a funny video, because we're going to be adding up basically everything that what this car has cost me. I'm talking insurance, tax, consumables like tyres, fuel as well, which is going to be a big one. So let's dive in and go through how much this car has cost me in a year of daily driving it. So the M3 then is a car which, as I've spoken to many people about before, is a car which I've always wanted to own. I don't know what it is, something about this car I absolutely love. As a daily driver, it's really not ideal, for reasons which you'll probably join me on realising very shortly in this video. But my Mark V Golf GTI replaced this car. I sold that car actually to a viewer of the channel who I believe is enjoying the car a lot still to this day. And it was always my plan to replace that car with one of these. However, I sold the GTI without actually wanting to, if you know what I mean. And so I kind of wasn't really in the ideal position to grab one of these. But after a lot of negotiations with a good friend of mine, I bought his then car, which is what you see here today. I bought the car on about 68,000 miles, and it's just now knocking on the door of 90,000 miles about a year later, which, don't get me wrong, has been a fantastic year. I've enjoyed this car so much, but there have been some costs involved. And what we're going to do, excusing the phone, is we're going to crack straight on with this and start with insurance. Okay, insurance, one of the most important things that you need for a car, but something which is different from person to person. On this car, I pay actually quite a reasonable fee, I think, and I'll get on to why. And that fee is £1,076.54. That is annually. I have a multi-car policy for this, my Golf R and my A45S. And it's actually about the same price as what I pay for the A45. Naturally, everything is all declared, the few bits that I have done to the car, but insurance is such a hard thing to really compare because it's based on so many different variables. Your age, your job, where you live, whether there's any cars on the policy, whether you're a homeowner or anything like that. But that is what I pay for this car, which I don't think is too bad, considering what it is. Moving on though to road tax. Now this is where the prices or the costs for things do go from being reasonable to an absolute nightmare. Road tax on this car, are you ready? Yearly, annually, £661.50. Now that, as I mentioned, is annually. You can actually pay monthly. That is an option via direct debit, which I think is about £53, I think, a month, which is actually what I do rather than paying the £661 up front, because it's only £25 or £30 more expensive to do that. £661 is what I pay monthly over a year, £630 or £640 if I were to pay the whole thing up front in one go. Which is nuts. And the reason for that is this car, of course, when it was new, was over the, what I think is called the luxury car tax bracket, £40,000. So any car which list new is over 40 grand, even if it's £40,000 and 1p, is in that bracket, and therefore the tax is a lot higher. That is why the tax is so high, mainly due to the engine as well, but £661 per year to have this car on the road. Well, to have the car taxed on the road. It's when we open this that things get from bad to worse. Now, these cars, I'm sure everyone's aware, the two main problems with them: the rod bearings and the throttle actuators, both fairly expensive to get done and resolved if they were to go wrong. Rod bearings, I can't speak from experience because I've never done them on this. Don't worry, have no fear. hold back from the comments. It was done shortly before I bought the car. There is actually an invoice in the file for about 3.5 grand for the rod bearings and a load of other little bits, which was done at 60,000 miles, 8,000 before I bought them, and it would have been the original ones that were swapped out then. So I can't kind of tell you firsthand what they cost, although apart from looking at that, it gives you an indication. However, the throttle actuators, I can speak from experience because a video I filmed pretty much at this spot a few days after I bought the car, they did actually fail. Now, it's at no fault to anyone because the actuators that were in the car that were replaced a few years prior were kind of uprated ones, which in theory should never fail. However, they did. And a new set of those, of the uprated ones from Evolve, was £1,185. So that was my first big expense in the car. Literally a couple of days after buying it. I should have saw the sign and not carried on, but hey ho, we did, and here we are today. Servicing on the car as well, to be honest, a normal, straightforward interim oil and filter change on this car, given the old engine, isn't actually too bad. Just over £300 is what I've paid in the past for just a simple oil change, filter change. It does then get expensive very quickly when you start doing more major service kind of additions, such as spark plugs, brake fluid, and that's when things get up to £500, £600, £700. However, maintenance costs on this car, as we've seen fairly recently, have been pretty steep. Now, if you watch the video where we did the suspension overhaul or just general overhaul of the car with Swift Performance, you would know that that was a £5,000 bill. In fact, more towards £5,500 when you take into account some other parts which we had to do. And in total, in terms of maintenance costs on this car since I bought it, including the new throttle actuators, including any service work that I've had done, the overhaul, new brakes, new engine mounts and everything like that which we've had done, this car has cost me £7,536.95 just to keep the 4-litre V8 purring and to keep up with all the maintenance. 7.5 grand. Oh. Now, there is a video, as I mentioned, on the channel with all the maintenance that we've done to this car. Goes into detail of all the little bits like we've done, such as full brake overhaul all round, new engine mounts, and a whole ton of new suspension components underneath. But moving on, again, excuse the phone, to tyres. I have changed the tyres all round in my ownership, only once, well, not that silly, but this car does run some pretty chunky tyres. Up front, we have a 245/40/18 on a Michelin Pilot Sport 4, and on the back, we have a 265/40/18, again, Michelin Pilot Sport 4. And the costs for this, for a set of two rears, it set me back £378 for both the rears, all fitted, supplied, balanced, everything, and then £230.82 for a set of the fronts, meaning all round set of 4 PS4 tyres cost me £608.82. It's starting to get a little bit ridiculous now. Now, it is worth noting that any modifications that I've done to the car, things like the exhaust, for example, that's certainly a talking point, or any of the other little bits that I've done to it, I'm not including in what will be the final figure. Things like the plate as well, I bought specifically for this car. Those costs, I'm not going to include in this, although with those things combined, it's a good few thousand, that's for sure. But there is something which will definitely be a good few thousand to add on to the seemingly never-ending list, and that is fuel. Conveniently, I do need some. So I think we'll hop in, get said exhaust making some lovely noise, go head over to my local fuel station, i.e. my second home, and go fill this up. I mean, come on, it'd be rude not to have some fun on the way. Oh, there we go. You cannot odds it. Fuel light, of course. Okay, second home is just here on my left. Always put Tesco momentum in this thing. Always, always, always. Get this thing filled up. We've currently got just under a quarter. That's when the first fuel light comes on. There we go, full tank. So this receipt will go into the collection because I have collected every single fuel receipt for this car. In fact, if I just come down here, check it out. And we're going to add that up in a second to ultimately see how much fuel I've spent on this thing. So that fill up cost me £75.53, meaning it can then be added to this absolute monstrosity of receipts. Okay, blah, 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 75.53. Oh, I don't know if you're going to see this. Wow, £7,111.96 just on fuel. That's ridiculous. £7,100 on fuel. I actually cannot get over that. That is really quite scary, actually, considering the numbers we've already discussed. Not sure I actually want to add up the total. Anyone want an M3? Right, let's add this up. To run through though, in short, we're going to see a build up on this side of basically everything split up into each relevant section. Insurance, £1,076.54. Tax, £661.50. Fuel, £7,114.96. Tyres, £608.82. Maintenance, including servicing, repairs, anything like that, £7,536.95. And all that added up to a total running cost for this car in my ownership of just over a year or 22,000 miles is £16,998.77. Pretty much 17 grand. Holy add a few thousand and that's what I paid for the thing. I actually don't know what to think about that. 17 grand. That is ludicrous. That is genuinely really quite scary. And I haven't added it up until now. I'm an idiot. I am a prized plonk for driving this every day. Do you know, it's so hard because it's such a good car. Such a good car, but well, I don't think there's anything more that I need to say really, is there? It's an expensive car to run. It's a fun car, it's a great car. Often for people, it's a weekend car. Maybe I need to really rethink things because that's a lot of money. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. I'm completely out. I need to end this video and yeah, have a think. But yeah, if you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like and make sure to subscribe for all the adventures still to come. 17 grand.